Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first round of the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship. We are live from Silverstone in the United Kingdom, but you all know that it's one of the most iconic circuits in the world. An introduction to the championship, as this is a new offering from the GSRC. This is more of an endurance-focused championship, so the races are longer than we generally offer. There are 3 formats this season: 4 sprint races, which are 45 minutes long. There are 4 standard races, which are 1 hour long, and 2 enduros, which are each 90 minutes long. Tonight it is a sprint race at Silverstone, a nice short one to get us going. I'm Liam Banks on the pots and pans. Alongside me is Daniel Yeaman, so you can ignore Greg Heaney's name there. I believe he might actually be racing, is he? No, having a quick look through the timings, and this is your starting grid as they go around on their parade lap. It is Glasspool and Woods on the front row with Grosh and Zikas alongside him. Then it's Cullen and Bailey on the third, Walker and Edwards on the fourth, Green and Haycock make up the top 10. And then in 11th, we have Clayton Lavis alongside him. Behind them is Sutter and Wood. Then we have Golan as a party, Heaney and Bradbury. So Heaney is racing. And Hayne and Cousins. The pace car has pulled away in the background, so we'll get racing in a few moments. But hopefully we can finish the grid before they go green. Not quite. We are going green. There is more drivers than that. We have an absolutely stacked field of 41 cars, which is unheard of on a Friday. Absolute justification for running this season already, and it is a fantastic start from Glasspool and Woods, who have already built a handy gap to third, and you can see them going 2 by 2 by 2 behind them as they come through the tricky double left-hander. Always hard to make enough space to cut back on that left-hander, then carry as much throttle as you can through here as we approach the left field section of the track. It is Glasspool who leads Woods, and Sekis has lifted himself onto the podium positions. And there's a big accident there in the background. Trying to see who that was. I believe it might have been Simon Mesmo who was involved. I can also see Adam Lavis is a lap down, so something's gone wrong for him. He's already turned to pit lane, and that is not a healthy looking car for Mesmo. Looked like he got turned on the straight, but I couldn't see whether he was coming across the car behind him or whether the car behind him turned into his wheel. We'll get another look at that if we can, but I expect plenty of action over the next 45 minutes because we've got just about as many cars as there are minutes in this race. We're watching them coming through the iconic Silverstone S's. It is Woods trying to chase down Glasspool, but that gap is increasing ever so slightly. Behind them, Bailey has lifted himself into 4th place, and Edwards is now in 5th from 8th. Other big movers include Tyson Broad, who's got himself up to 19th from 25th. So he's had an absolute flyer of the start. Greg Heaney's gone the opposite way. He's down to 22nd from 17th. And Lachlan Capel is up 9 spots from 36th to 27th. And you can see on your timing screens that a couple of drivers are incurring the wrath of the off-track stewards, including Green, and I believe as a party has also got an off-track.
Yes, indeed. There we go. Now I'm coming through, Liam, and apologies for a couple of things there, folks. Car off on the outside there. Looks like...
And that's as a party.
As a party, indeed. We've got Scott Jawson, also the meatball here on lap 1. It's offside of screen as well to worry about there. So a little bit frantic here. As you said, big fields. Looks like everyone getting behind a return to the GTEs of old. You keep traction control. Oh, more trouble there. Bruce White, yep, Bruce White there in the JMR BMW M8. It looks like Jeff Adams there to the outside of the circuit. Yep, indeed, that's tracking pretty rough as well, I think. A lot of issues here that we're going to have to try and pick through.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame that Travis has a party, one of the cars that has come and stuck there, because he is the mastermind behind this series. He came into the committee. He had really strong ideas for this season. He knew exactly how it wanted to be. He knew exactly what tracks he wanted, what car, what formats, and which is where to see generally we're sort of running very similar series, and you know, whoever runs them can. It's more of an admin thing. He came in with a lot of passion to run this series on a Friday night. He wanted that slot. He wanted the longer races. Yeah. We gave it to him, and look at the turnout we've got on in round 1. It's been unheard of on a Friday, and that was a very, very beaten up Tristan Koch. So his Friday night has got a little bit worse, but thankfully he's got the weekend to look forward to. and it is one fast repair, so he will be able to get into the pits, get it repaired, get back out with a fully fit car. However, given there is no pit stops, he won't be able to positions he was fighting for before. He's going to have to do it all with raw pace if he is going to finish anything other than in the bottom few cars.
Yes, indeed he is. And yeah, it's going to be a climb back in this year. Even with himself, hang on, he might as well slow down yet. It's going to peel off the road as well to get that one out of the way as soon as he can. You also hear race control lighting up as someone there. Russ Green goes around Haycock, but also disappears for us. And by the way Liam reacted, I suspect him too, because that was the move of someone going, there's someone there and I don't know where you are anymore.
Yeah, if you haven't raced in iRacing and you don't know what that feels like when you try to race a car and it suddenly disappears, imagine you're in a field and you know there's a raging bull in the field, but it's invisible and you don't know where. You don't know where to defend yourself, you don't know how to protect your organs, you don't know what to do, so you just sort of flail and so carry on as predictable as you can and hope that you're not going to take some contact, because depending on the rig that you've got, that contact can hurt if you're not expecting it, and it jars your wrists. Sounds silly, but you can get real injuries from some of the rigs that some of these guys no doubt have, although your Logitech G25 probably isn't going to injure you unless you lock your fingers in and do something really silly. As I said that, Sikis has done the opposite of that, because he's just put in the fastest lap of the race with a 57.261. It's only a few thousandths faster than James Glasspool on the last lap, so they're running at almost identical pace, but it is a couple of tenths up on Ben Woods, who is the car immediately ahead of him, running around in second place. We're currently tracking Liam Haycock. He is in 10th. He's got Paul Wood behind him, who is up 3 spots, and Russ Green is the car ahead of him. And interestingly, Russ Green is sort of leading the third pack. We've got a few packs appearing now. I'll just run through those for you. You can see on your timing interval screen there, you got the yellow and red numbers. Those cars are attached. When those numbers turn white, it means they are over a second behind, and I would say anything over 1.5 seconds means you're falling into the start of the next pack rather than being attached to the pack ahead of you. So you can see we've got a few distinct packs forming in this race. No huge gaps though until you get all the way down to those that have crashed. The field remaining relatively compact right now, and you can confirm that in the track map on the top right on your screen. There are not many gaps between those little circles until you get all the way down to car 16, which is the car in 34th place. And this is Tyson Broad alongside Rodney Gollan. I think there's a little bit of argy-bargy going into the corner as they fought for contact. A little bit of contact there on the straight. That's definitely Tyson Broad looking like it's coming into Rodney Gollan. And now it is Adam Hayne trying to make that free wide, does so. And poor Rodney Gollan got overtaken on either side there. And Tyson Broad, before he had the spot, is now having to defend against Adam Hayne, who is an incredibly accomplished driver member of HTS Racing. That is an incredibly strong team. They were prominent when we used to run the Enduro series here at the GSRC, so not surprised to see him running strong in what is more of an Enduro event. But Tyson Broad also a very, very strong operator running for Orbit Drop Bear, I believe, at the moment, and not afraid to get his elbows out, as we saw just a few moments ago.
That's very true. That is indeed correct. Despite it's not our signature paint colours, have GTE paints prepared for him, so they've gone for what, if you remember the days of the Gen 4 Cup.
I do.
And the Arcas, this particular character, icon, some might even suggest, has made its, I wouldn't say glorious return.
Yeah, they took great joy in putting all their cars in identical paint schemes of the Lizard and taking over the Supercars Championship, because they generally tended to all run at the front and made my life very, very difficult. As we see Travis Party diving into pit lane, he has got a meatball flag, so he will take his one and only fast repair, get back out into the race. He'll be at the back of the pack, but he will be attached to the pack, I suspect. So it's not race over for him, but any chance of a top 10 has now gone begging for our series runner.
other thing, of course, tonight with racing these GTE cars, whilst there is still a GT series on iRacing, not all of the tracks here at the GSRC match up with that one there. So what we might see tonight, in the case of things being a little different, so watch out for drivers and car strength too. It's going to vary a bit. As tyre smoke, someone slow? The answer is
Brad.
46.
Brad Clayton Wolfie, that is. I did notice him dropping down a few positions and immediately losing a heap of time to the cars ahead. And he looks like he's still trying to recover from that. Not sure if he's picked up some damage somewhere, but he lost 2 positions and since then has lost another 6 seconds, I think, as he's trying to shuffle himself back into the pack. And maybe been a little bit scruffy doing so. But he'll remain where he is. Looks like he's just about stabilised, although he's going to have his work cut out trying to keep Eduardo Zamora behind him.
Busy, as you said, in many packs here down the field. So we'll try and obviously, flip through them all as we see him come up. Bring all the action to you here tonight. In fact, you've got David Hayne now on the back of this group there in at white red and blue stripes Porsche. But you're coming back to it. I think I have to say car spread is actually fairly impressive. I am seeing a pretty strong representation from the Corvette C8 here is just in front. Schmicky and Wolfie being awfully close there. End of the club chicane. Schmicky hanging on for now. But Wolfie there, big slide out of the last turn. Loses the momentum, but hangs on to the car.
Yeah, which is the important thing. You can afford to lose a bit of time, but if you go for a spin, with the field this compact, you're going to have a rough time. And given he's already trying to recover from a mistake, I do hope he's not falling into the trap of over pushing. Firing the second arrow is the term that some people would use, which is when you make a mistake and then in trying to make up for that mistake, you make another mistake and compound the error. You've got to give it away. That time cannot be regained. Just go back into your steady state. Try and find that flow state that feels so good when you get into it, and just allow for the fact that that time is gone forever. We've been focusing on this battle pack for 17th, 18th and 19th for a little while. In that time, our big movers from earlier on have continued to move up the field. So Lachlan Capel is now up 21 spots into 15th. Tyson Broad is up 14. We saw him making a few of those positions, and there has been no movement at the top of the field. It's still Glasspool, Woods, Zickus, Bailey, Edward, Cullen as the top 6. Down the back of the pack, we're seeing a few more cars become detached. So early casualties are Posh, Mizomo, Adams, Colgan, Gander, Jordison as a party, Eduardo Zamora and White. I believe all those cars have come into some sort of trouble, had to take their fast repair at the very least, if not had a big incident that has cost them more time. So they're a bit detached from the rest of the field, and they're going to struggle to do anything other than finish in 30th place or below. As we watch here, Clayton Wolfie continuing to do battle with David Hayne in front of him. At least he's on the attack now, which is good to see. He did lose that position recently, but he is trying to fight back on the Porsche ahead of him. And you can see on your timing tower what Daniel was mentioning with the variety of cars that we've got. We've got a heap of Chevrolets, a heap of Porsches, a spattering of BMWs, a Ferrari and a Ford at least in there, and I can confirm that most of the cars that are injured or have been injured are BMWs, so that seems to be a bit of a bad luck charm tonight, unless your name is Green or Wood or Clayton.
Yes, indeed. Let's try and jump somewhere else, because we've got other battles going on. So, the back of one about Aussie Racing's drivers. Pete Nelson, trying to keep up with Nathan and Michael here at the moment.
Doing a fairly good job of it. I wonder how aggressive Cousins will be willing to get with Mattson. These guys, the Aussie racers, they definitely do like a race. They do like a race, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're sniffing something a little bit higher than 23rd and 24th, because they're both half decent drivers. So they'll want more than that, but it's whether they feel they have the pace, because if they don't, game's on. Let's go for a little scrap, and Mattson goes wide. there on the exit of, I believe it's Cops. Please don't hate me if I was wrong. And gives the position to... No, holds on from Matson. Matson gives the position to Cousins. Yes, that did happen. For my eyes deceived me for a second there.
Alright, I also want to now try and get through some of those. Do we try and go for some replays, but we are now several up past it. Oh, how did you... Clayton Leafy had a moment on the last episode of this. We're stepping out the end of the Wellington straight. Luckily for him, he's going to actually stop that one before it goes into a full spin around. Actually, that's how he ends up back in that Schmidt. That's as drastic as an issue as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, he did well. Did well to minimise the damage there as we watch Walker trying to defend from Cullen. Cullen switches back to the inside. Gets it side by side, but they're about to go through Luffield. He's just kept his front bumper there. Has Cullen, has Walker earned himself the right to some space, pushes Cullen all the way out to the curb on the exit, and I think Cullen's going to need to tuck him behind because you're not going to want to go 2 by 2 through the fast right-hander. Or are they? Are they going to go too wide? Are we going to have Hamilton versus Verstappen? No, we're not going to have a replay of that. They're both more sensible than the 7 and 4 time world champions. Almost corrected myself, said 5 but no, he did not win it this season. And there you go, Walker ahead of Cullen at the end of that, and they have invited Grosh to get involved in this battle, and Green is keeping tabs on it as well. So what was a two-car fight with the time they have lost is quickly developing into a 4-car free-for-all. Will we see a move into the right-hander? No, sits behind next best overtaking opportunity. I mean, it's Silverstone, so it's going to be the next corner. It is going to be through this chicane, although very hard to run 2 by 2 through the second section and get a decent run on the start-finish straight, which you want into the first corner. And indeed, they stay single file for now.
Too crazy. Tyson Broad's had an incident of some fashion because he's got a mechanical black flag and total bits. Let's have a look for a couple of recent lap 8, Rodney Gold. Oh, no, pardon me. It might be a case of incident troubles for him, unfortunately. Tyson Broad, I don't have any information as to what caused him to crash out. It's just going to flag until it hits, so I believe that will be.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the story of what's happened there a little bit later. If you do know what's happened, please do chime in the comments in our stream, and hopefully we can see those and respond to them. Right now it is Glasspool continuing to lead from Woods and Zickers, as it has been for the majority of the race, but none of those drivers will be feeling safe. The gap has never been above a second between any of the 3 of them, so they are just keeping their powder dry, and I'm sure we'll see some attacks later on in the race once your move position is more likely to carry you through to the end of the race, but no need to fire right now as we watch Woods through Maggots and Beckett's, followed closely by Zicker. So they're just starting to detach. Bailey and Edwards, they put up a really strong fight, but at this point in the race they don't quite have the pace to stick with the top 3. It's not a huge difference, just a couple of attempts a lap maybe on average, but it's enough that they are slowly, consistently just being dropped away from the podium positions, and unless they can find some pace later in the race, they're going to be relying on some bad luck for those ahead or misjudgments to get themselves in. And it seems Sam Cullen is hopping around all over the place, so I suspect that is not an incident. I suspect that is internet issues, he says tentatively. Although saying that, he seems to have stabilised lower than he was and losing distance to the car ahead, so I do wonder if he has perhaps come unstuck.
No ABS, even though there is track control. A fair bit of power underneath your foot in most cases, and therefore obviously it can be a bit of a risk. top 3
Yeah.
together at the moment, Liam. 4th and 5th here, Matt Bailey, Pete Edwards, next to the road, keeping them reasonably honest. But the action looks to be further down the order where, here we go, Adam Hay now has Elton Capel for company here at the back of the top 10.
Yeah, and it's HTS versus
We'll drop in now.
Orbit Drop Bear. I paused because I was trying to figure out whether it's OBDM or ODBM.
No, he hasn't even updated his team, mate. For shame. Oh, actually, that might be. Actually, that might be. I see it. My bad for saying that.
It'd be ODBM for short Orbit Drop Bear. It's the B in the orbit that gets me. It makes me think it should be OBDM, but it's not. It's ODBM. As we're watching in, this is a great battle between Capel and Hayne. Capel has gone ahead and look at the gap he was able to pull out there. You can see him setting himself more up for the exit of this complex. Hayne got a little bit deeper. That's going to cost him speed all the way down to the U-turn. He'll get a bit of that back from the slipstream, but it's not going to be enough to put him alongside Capel, I don't believe, unless there's a huge dive, and it is not. And that should be Capel safe for a few corners unless he makes a mistake. And he is now up 27 spots.
I'm thinking someone's decided to do the start from the rear and just see what happens when they're qualifying based on that. Yep. I hope therefore we didn't miss something at the start of the race that would have been a cause for any grief.
It might also have just messed up qualifying and not got a lap in. That definitely does happen. However, I will just remind all of our drivers that if you are thinking of doing that, it's actually against our rules. So if you are going to do it, please don't do it in our service. Please do put in a representative lap time. Obviously, if you're really fast and you muck up and you don't get lap time, that is one thing. However, if you're found to be deliberately trying to do burn from the stern races, that will be frowned upon. So just a reminder to all the drivers. I know we've got quite a lot of new drivers in this week. Welcome if you are new. If this is the first time watching one of our broadcasts, double welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to bring you some of the fantastic racing that we have on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and hopefully make you feel like a little bit of a star when we get you mentioned on the broadcast and we get you hopefully pulling off an overtaking manoeuvre, but more likely crashing out into the barriers. As we watch Dale Sharp for Aussie Racers, he's up 8 spots, so he hasn't gone crashing into too many barriers so far. I can't imagine. I think he's just kept it nice and clean and hoovered up some positions from those that have crashed ahead of him. He's just about holding on to the back of Sam Cullen, who we saw dropping down the order a little bit earlier on. Still not sure what happened to him, but he's going to need to, I suspect, pick up the pace if he's going to close that gap.
Yeah, that's a strong possibility here. I got Gary Cousins outside of Nathan Michael into Maggots and Beckers. That's bold.
Unorthodox. Gets through.
Yeah.
Lovely mount he's pulled away as well. He's got some serious pace at this point in the race compared to the cars around him, it would seem. Although the last lap was nothing to shout home about. Theoretically, it was slower than the cars he just overtook, so it might have been a bit of a scruffy one. We'll see what the lap time is this time round, because he's pulled out a gap of 7/10 in the time we've been watching, and the car just looks like it's got a little bit more grip than the Porsche behind him. So let's see as he crosses the line. Yep, there it is, a 1:59.9. which is 2 seconds faster than what Nathan Michael did in the last lap, and a smidgen faster than Pete Matson, who's the car behind Nathan Michael. So it seems like it is more a case of Michael struggling for pace at this point, rather than Cousins being uber fast. And they are coming under attack now from Tyson Broad, who we saw got the meatball. We don't know what caused the meatball, dropped it back into the pack, and he is making his way back through. So expect him to have a bit more pace in the cars ahead, and probably a relative lack of patience, which could make for some interesting moves on the broadcast. Hopefully clean and spectacular. That is the first of those moves done, although the opposition really did dive out of the way to France, I think, and then come back onto the track. So next up for Broad, it will be Nathan Michael, the driver who we just said seemed to be struggling a little bit of pace on the last lap. Wonder if we'll see... Oh, and there is Well, quite a large piece of evidence as to where Nathan Michael is struggling. I dare say it is with rear tyre grip. Might have been a little bit heavy on the loud pedal throughout this race, perhaps just burning up his rear tyres a little bit, because that was certainly a little bit more slip angle than he was after in that corner, and that sent him scurrying to the exit row. Did well to hoover it all up, get it back on track, but it cost him the position to Tyson Broad, and now Broad is getting ready for his next meal. It's a 7-course meal, and the 5th of those courses is Cousins.
Yeah, quite the recovery drive that's getting here at the moment. That's definitely the case. Right.
Now, go ahead.
See what happens, I guess, afterwards. We can see whether we get an answer to the questions we're asking so far, but we miss when it comes to incidents per chance.
Yes, we'll see there will be a post-race show, as there traditionally is in the GSRC. We will keep it short. However, we will not send you to bed too late. So if we get a few drivers, we'll just ask them 1 or 2 questions. If we just end up with 1 or 2, we might ask them a little bit more, but we'll aim to keep it to around 15 minutes or so for the post-race show. As we're watching Russell Gander trying to defend from Jeff Adams. Jeff Adams with significantly more pace at this point in the race based on the evidence of the last laps. Adams at 59.8, Gander at 2:06, so 8 tenths the gap there, and if that continues, then Gander is really going to struggle to keep Adams behind him for too much longer. You can see immediately Gander taking the defensive line there, really narrow entry into that corner. It means he will have to wait. Well, he will have waited to get up to the throttle for an inordinately long time compared to Adams, which will mean he'll be slower all the way through this section, although it doesn't seem like Adams got the best of runs. He's been able to hold on there. No need to really go defensive into left field. It's not really an overtaking spot unless you're already side by side. Neither is, I believe, it's cops at the end of the straight. So the next overtaking opportunity will be through the S's. That's suboptimal. It's not the great place to do an overtake, so probably into the left-hander before the double right at the end of the lap will be the best opportunity for Adams if he can stay close enough. But Gander looks to have the measure of him from basically since we have come on board with this battle.
Beaten for now, not necessarily completely done in, but we'll see as this one goes on. For now. Let's have a look elsewhere on the circuit. Got 3-car scrap brewing here for P6. And screen behind the pair of them. Up towards the Cops corner once again.
Yeah, and this is Clayton Wolf down the inside of Adam Lavis and gets the move done. Wolfie's been a bit of a yo-yo so far this race, which is great for us. He'd probably like to have had a little bit more with momentum, but at least this was an overtake and a decent one too. If you're beating Adam Lavis, you're generally going pretty well in whatever you're racing. And yes, ignore his surname. According to our systems, he is definitely Adam Lavis, and he's got the distinctive Castrol livery that he runs in all of his cars, which makes our life relatively easy in the comm box. Just back to that battle for 6th, if we can cut back to that, because that's really close between Grosh, and I think what we've just seen is Grosh diving into pit lane. Not sure why he's done that. Must have picked up some damage, I suspect.
I'm not going to say that car looks clean. I honestly think it's the driver who thinks he needs to pit to make it home to finish this race. It's usually do so here, just a little bit past the half lane.
Which is interesting because it isn't a compulsory pit stop. There is a compulsory pit stop in the standard races. There are 2 compulsory pit stops in the Enduro. So that would lead me to believe that the intention was that it should be able to get to the end on fuel, but it could be borderline, in which case some drivers might prefer to go flat out, take a splash and dash, and try and make the time that way because they're more comfortable with it than doing some fuel saving. You're just ahead of those guys because that battle has now dissipated a little bit. I just wanted to call out that the top 5 It was closing up. Those gaps have been up and down a bit, but it's certainly they've detached themselves from the rest of the top 10. So we have a fairly distinct top 5 now, and then there's that 4-second gap to Dylan Walker. So I think we know who our top 5 is likely to be, barring a significant error. But we have no idea in what order. I would not rule out Edwards from making a charge. I would not rule out Bailey from getting into the podium spots, and I would not at all hand this one to Glasspool quite yet. We have got another 16 minutes of this race to go. We're almost 2/3 of the way there, which means there's an entire third to go before you can claim that victory. As we watch Bailey making a move into 3rd place, gets it done, is going to have to defend heavy into the left-hander. Sinkus has a look, pulls up the inside, gets the move done. Does he? No. Bailey tries to hang on around the outside. If he can stay there, he will have the better line through here. And he does, but can Sinkus hold enough momentum to cut up and under? No, he cannot.
Yeah, good bit of attack, and then the follow-up defense does the job. Pretty good there indeed, as you said, for Matt Bailey. Sinkus is still there, and Pete Edwards also could potentially take a piece of this fight with him here too. So watch out for all of that here at this point in the race. But for now, looks like a new order and single file is going to be observed. Paul Wood, next car to the pit lane, brings it in from the top 10. Same with Dale Sharp a little further down the order as well.
This is really interesting because if they do need to pit, all those cars that re-ruled out of it, you can rule back in.
Oh, Sinkus.
And that is
excursion there.
Yeah, and Edwards into 4th place. So Sinkus in the podium positions from the very start of this one. Now he has been relegated down to 5th. It's going to be a recovery if he wants to finish in one of the fancy positions at the end of this one. Good to see JMR. That's a new team as far as I'm aware for the GSRC. It's good to see more teams joining our club, which seems to just keep getting bigger and bigger based on the attendance that we've had in some of our races this week. We had incredible attendance in the Porsche Cup, incredible attendance in the GP, and now incredible attendance on a Friday night. I can't speak to the Wednesday or Tuesday night attendance. I think Tuesday night was okay. Do you know what the attendance in the supercars was like?
Last supercars on Wednesday night, not too bad, but were a little lower than normal thanks to other supercars racing, drawing away perhaps some of our previously top front-end talent that we've seen race on a Wednesday night here at the club. So mid-20s, which obviously sounds quite a bit different to what we're seeing here tonight by comparison, for example. So a bit of that there, I guess, to keep in mind.
Yeah, I was just pausing there because Sinkus looked really menacing behind the back of Edwards there. Decides better of a move, but you can definitely see from the body language of the car, Edwards is thinking defense, and Sinkus he's moving all over the place, using all of the track. You can see looking really aggressive, almost. What about putting one up the inside there, which would have been a bad idea, but he thought better of it. Really good racing from Sinkus, and he wants that 4th position back. Aggressive but sensible, and that is a brilliant move. And Edwards going to try and hang on around the outside to get himself the prime position from the field, but no, it is done. Sinkus returns into 4th spot, having settled his car down after a couple of scruffy laps.
Well, Mick's not the biggest fan of that one, apparently. Immediately signalling once he had a moment to settle the car through onto the old stuff in a stretch there, but yeah, not the greatest fan of that move. As you said, aggressive, but he pulled it up. He was on that apex curve at 1st and 2nd apexes of it, if you are going to run that double apex approach. So yeah, play on.
Yeah, aggressive. It was aggressive, but it was brilliantly done. And in fairness to Sinkus, he pulled out of a couple of more aggressive moves that he was shaping up for. So he certainly waited until he felt confident in getting the move done, which is a good sign that he is well in control of his car and of his emotions. As we watch Cullen, who has a little bit less control of his car, going for a spin. You're going to see that from the Porkers. Pretty much every Porker likes to go for a spin. So yeah, I doubt he's the only one doing that tonight. Just apologies if my voice goes weird a little bit. I am carrying a little bit of a cold, so if my voice goes weird and it sounds like I'm struggling to get out my words, I'm struggling to get out my words. It is genuine. As we cut to a battle here, this is still Cullen. He is chasing David Hayne, who's up 10 spots into 12th spot.
Yes, what I have to say now is the field has fanned out quite a bit here with the back half, everyone from Liam Haycock on down, having stopped at least once in this race. In fact, even amongst the drivers who have stopped, I have to go back to Travis Asapati, who's got Simon Mazzomo trying to recover his race. And looks to be on track to do so pace-wise. He should be there pretty shortly. And what is an ancient race car for Mez. It's not his actual current team of 9.5 Sim Sports colours. He's dug back into, I think, early 2020 or 2021-ish era for him to find this M8 paint.
Not a bad colour scheme, but I dare say he would prefer it to be in his team's colours. I wouldn't be surprised if that's put to right for the end of the season, and he's put to right, I'm sure in his mind, his position on track, because he's just managed to shove himself past as a party into 25th spot. Important to point out of those cars that have pitted, it is Grosh, Cullen and Broad that are the top three on that strategy. We are yet to see, we do not know, if the top 10 are going to have to pit, and everybody else who hasn't pitted. But at the moment, they are the cars that could find themselves at the pointy end if it is effectively a mandatory pit stop and not something that can be overcome with a bit of fuel saving. As we see, Sickness becomes the first car in the lead group to dive into pit lane.
Yes, which is now. He should come out ahead of him. How much? To find out, the gaps are all that. There's Scott Jules coming right now, so unfortunately Scott not relevant to that discussion. He's a lap down. Just barely. He's a lap down. We'll stay here with Seeker's Grosh. He is coming onto the start finish. He's going to be close-ish. Oh no, Seeker's already on the roll. I think he's going to be out here comfortably. Off the limiter. No, here comes Grosh through.
Now, in my mind, he's got, what, 1.3 seconds on Sitkus. What is his pace right now? His pace 157.6. Glasspool last lap at 57.9. Woods at 57.6. So he's running at about the pace of the top three, a little bit faster than Pete Edwards. I do think Grosh is certainly going to be a threat for fourth. He might even be threatening the podium positions, particularly if those cars that pit, you know, pitting, they're going to get not much fuel. So it shouldn't affect the balance of the car much, but it can disrupt your rhythm, whereas Grosh is going to be in his rhythm, not doing anything different to what he's done for the last umpteen laps. So that might give him a little bit of an advantage to try and break into the podium spots. It's a tough assignment, but if they do all need to pit, they are going to be under threat from Grosh. That was an important bellwether there that Sickers has provided us, and he has provided us towards the end of being interesting. Certainly everyone outside of that top three, I'm looking at Green, Capel, Payne, they're going to come out behind Grosh and Sickers. They're going to come out potentially behind Cullen and Broad. It's going to be really, really close, and they're running with decent pace. Broad in particular, 57.7 on the last lap for him, compared to some 58 deads, high 57s for others at the back end of the top five. So it really could come down to how well they run into the end of the race.
And we're going to say goodbye to Russ Green from competitive competition here, Liam, because you can see he's in the pit lane, and next to his name, you also now see a black flag. I believe that means he's probably driven it in a bit too deep at the speed limit cones. The other thing I want to bring to your attention real quick is pit stop times in addition to when they stopped. I've added that to the timing tower here, folks, because this explains how Brandon Grosh is ahead of Alex Seekers to the tune of nearly 4 seconds less fuel, if the tower is accurate. So this is now possibly a question of, is Grosh on the short side of his refuel number? I would think so, but there are other drivers. Paul Wood, 5 seconds. Liam Haycock, 6.5. You see Cullen and Broad, 6. So maybe Seekers in turn perhaps has been a little conservative and overfueled the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I always prefer to have a little bit extra fuel just to make sure that I don't run out of fuel, because that is really sad whenever that happens. And I do not trust the whatever software it is. I know there's many that do the fuel calculation, so I tend to make sure it gives me an extra lap. But that can definitely be the difference between getting or losing position, particularly at the pointy end where the margins are so much smaller. And likewise, we look at that black flag that we just saw on pit entry. You can only gain so much time on pit entry, but you can lose a lot of time if you get it wrong. But you've got to push those margins if you want to win these races. They are so competitive when we get fields like this that if you are leaving a few seconds on the table, you're probably going to lose by a few seconds, such as the standard of some of the racing in these servers. And look at them all coming in on the same lap. I think this is the
limited flat-out driving. Yeah, this car's coughing here.
Yeah, this is the natural point at which you are forced to pit if you have not been doing much saving at all. Hence why they've all pit at the same time. And it is Glassball who retains his lead. Woods comes out in second, Bailey third, and where do Grosh and Sitkus come out in relation? There is Grosh. So I think he's going to come out in 6th place still, because there is Dylan Walker. Oh, they're going to be side by side. And no, Grosh is going to have this position done, is he?
No, he's not.
Still side by side, 3 corners deep now. They could make it 4 corners deep. They certainly will. It's going to be 5 corners deep at the end of the straight. They are side by side as they approach the Luffield complex. Walker's certainly going to have the optimal line through Luffield. You actually don't need to be that wide on the entry. You can stay on the inside and just keep it tight through and then get on the throttle early as you can.
Still not gone though.
Still just about keeping half a car alongside Walker. And now this is going to be brave. This is going to be brave stuff. Will either of them chicken out? No, it's a bit rough calling it chickening out. Just being sensible there from Grosh. And he actually gets a better run through the corner. He's going to be side by side as they enter the S's. No, Tuck's in behind him. Will try and get a better run through here. This corner's not that important. They both compromise it sufficiently to make sure they're getting on the throttle plenty early through here. That would have been all flat out. Looks like Grosh did get a better run. You can see the really vibrant pull, I'm going to say, of that car. Flicking out behind the largely black car of Dylan Walker. Looking like it's going to make a move, but nothing doing there. Is Walker going to defend the inside here?
Traffic
Doesn't
there to
feel
worry
the
about,
need
though.
to. Yeah.
So that makes this all a little bit interesting. Edward Rollo there. He's trying to race Scott Jordan's position. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Jordan. Oh, contact between Walker and Grosh.
Yeah, it was always difficult when you're trying to go around lap traffic. It's a spot where they can't really get out of the way. It's hard to put too much blame on the lap traffic. You can't utterly disappear. All they could do is try to get through the next straight and get out of the way there. I don't think they were close enough to warrant them getting out of the way beforehand and had to see it again. Just the kind of thing that happens 4 into 1 does not go, does it? Particularly when you've got a large difference in pace and cars trying to get out of the way as best they can, and just really awkward there. Be interested to see if there is a steward support and anything comes out of it. And this is Russ Green pointing the wrong way. Just getting his car back round, trying to see if it's got damage. I was just being careful. I think he's just being careful with his rejoin. So let's see what happened here.
He's looking like he's going to do it by himself. Yep. Just a fraction deep, and round goes the rears once it's in too hot.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a lapped car ahead of him and he got a little bit spooked with how quick he was closing in. It looked like he definitely carried a bit more speed into that corner. And I wonder if that made him just maybe tap the brakes a little bit or something there that would have caused the balance to shift and send him into a spin. It's quite easy to do if you sort of mispredict the car ahead a little bit and have to adjust. It certainly ups the probability of something like that happening. And now green's got a black flag to his name, so it's gone from bad to worse. So all this has meant that Bailey is now in third place and got a forceful lead over Edwards. So those podium positions looking really good as Glasspool crosses over. I don't see a right flag waving, which means we'll get 2 more laps.
Yeah, oh, we should be getting a white flag. They're doing 155s, 57s even, to be precise. Got somebody who's coming through perhaps the last couple of corners. This is the flag stand spot. Barney's on holiday apparently.
Yeah, I don't see a Barney, which isn't a perfect indicator of whether or not it is the white flag. For now, we will assume that it is not and call it appropriately. So we've got Glasspool leading from Woods and Bailey, theoretically with another lap to go. Those margins tight enough that any sort of mistake is going to make things very hairy to the end of the race. Behind them, there's a big battle going on between Broad and Walker for 9th and 10th. Collins attacking Zikas for 7th place. So plenty of positions up for grabs in these final stages. Bradbury trying to attack Woods. Zamora trying to attack Lavis. That's the closest battle on track. Less than a quarter of a second between the two of them. Green is taking himself out of it because of his black flag, which means that his cousins and as a party in combat for 23rd spot. Gander trying to get Adams towards the back of the field for a spot in the top 20s, 29th spot, but it counts. It's better to have a 2 in front of the first as the first digit than a 3. As we watch Glasspool, he's potentially only got a few more corners to defend.
I think this is it. Yeah, a couple of corners ago, I'm sure.
We think this is the last lap then. Bailey flashing his lights, trying to put off Woods ahead, but Woods far too wily an operator for that to put him off, particularly when Bailey wasn't overly close to him. Glasspool gets this corner right, and we believe he will be the maiden victor in. Just waiting to see. Do we see a checkered flag? There it is. Glasspool takes the victory. Woods second, Bailey third. That is your podium in the opening race for Construction Labs, the GTE Championship. Edwards brings it home in 4th. Roche will finish in 5th, taking an early pit stop and really making that work for him. Broad, really late move on Walker there. Contact there. Certainly didn't leave him much space on the exit, and he would have been entitled to exit because we do not run F1 style rules here. You must leave a space for the car if there was overlap. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes from the stewards after the race for those positions. This is Wood trying to fend off Bradbury and does so he will come home in 13th spot. Bradbury will finish in 14th as we continue to watch the cars come through. Dylan Walker, that incident has given him a black flag, which he did not serve.
Yep, because he's picked that up in the club chicane, so that is going to... And he had a slowdown as well. There's something there. I mean, there was a bit of back and forth about that. No surprises, I'm sure. Immediately after they took the finish line, but there's possibly some more that we might want to try and pick up on. I can see there was a pass. They passed Sam Cullen earlier on, so we might be able to... It'll be a long replay, but we can start there and see what we can make out of it.
Yeah, let's have a look at that while we wait to see if which drivers, if any, will join us in the booth for a bit of a chat before we wrap this one up. As I said, we will keep the post-show relatively short because we all like sleep, honestly.
It looks like we're about finished. Just here, Russ Green's going to be the last driver to come across the line, so no offense to Russ, but as he's currently looking like he should just be bringing this home by himself, we might jump straight to that replay. It's a bit of a go back about 30-odd seconds before the actual incident we witnessed there between Broad and Walker to sort of actually have something to work with. So it's icy. So they catch up to Sam Cullen here in a second. I'm going to suspect he runs... Oh, yeah. That's looking a little short in fuel. For Coleman. Anyways, let's try and understand where would Walker pick slowdown up for it to matter.
It might be just 4x from contact.
I know, because I saw a slowdown at about now. So big lunge from Broad, doors him off. That was definitely an attempt at what looks like an attempt to try and get that one back. And on the road he did, but it's going to be undone by the fact he's then put himself over the incident limit. Or didn't clear the slowdown, which, yeah, so it is one of those two. See, can I get those incident points? I can. I think he's gone over to limits. He's sitting on 21 incident points. He's Dylan Walker, according to the official logging from iRacing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know whether that was from the initial contact or whether it was the off-track caused by the contract, or the off-track, the second off-track caused by him trying to lunge it back up the inside, the second contact there, because that potentially 10 incident points in one sort of collision, almost. So, yeah, either way, it's cost both of them, hasn't it? So I think they'll both look back and think what they could have done better. Certainly, though, I would say that he should have been entitled to space in that initial move. Everything after that, don't have to look at it a few more times to really judge, but it looked pretty aggressive. Glasspool, confirmation he is your victor. Woods in second, Bailey in third. Edwards finishes in fourth, and then Grosh in fifth. Then it is Capel, Zickus, Cullen, Broad, and Hain in the top 10. Then it is Smitke, Wood, Bradbury, Haycock, Lavis, Samora, Hain. So that is with that black flag that we saw applied. Then it is Walker, Sharp, and Heaney at the back of the top 20.